Welcome into SportsZone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero, joined by Oscar Chavez and Nick Volpetti, and we're going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. Things have seemingly gone from bad to worse to absolute, I don't even know what the word is, really. But everything has gone wrong for the Mavericks. I mean, literally, it feels like since the Luka trade, this franchise has been cursed or something, as Kyrie Irving just went down last game, or his last game, 2 games ago. Torn left ACL. He will miss the remainder of the season, potentially a part of next season. So, I mean, it's just everything has happened. Everything that's happened. Everyone's been hurt. I mean, we saw Kyrie go down here. And this was just such a frustrating one because completely just driving into the lane, got just sort of a weird hit. And he's been playing 40 minutes a night. I wouldn't say that contributed to that necessarily, just kind of a freak injury. Trying to get between the two defenders, Valanciunas and DeRozan there, and just right on that left knee. You could tell right away. At first they tried to say it was going to be like a hyperextension, but then you just see this, and I feared the worst. And unfortunately, as we see him walking off the court here, it is a torn ACL. But I will say, look at that. Right before it cut off, but he shot his free throws, both of them, made them both. Just shows what a kind of a player and a person Kyrie Irving is. So I'll ask you, Oscar, how big of a loss is this for Kyrie Irving and the Mavericks?
Well, we were talking about the game. He was averaging 39 minutes per game, a 31 usage rate. But as we're talking about how just tough he is, willing to just stand in there, shoot his free throws, it speaks more on his character, and we lose a leader right there as he's helped off by Anthony Davis. And, well, he's street close as well. Mm-hmm. We're all down now. Yep. It's just pure unfortunate out of here. We're stuck with the Hardy party now. And I don't know.
He's hurt. He sprained his ankle too, I believe.
Well, looks like we have nobody.
Yeah, and that's just about Dante Exum. Save us. That's just about how it feels. So Kyrie Irving obviously going down, being helped off by Anthony Davis, ironically also hurt. But I'll start with you, Nick, with Kyrie. What is this loss for the Mavs, and how do you expect Kyrie Irving to be able to bounce back coming off this injury?
I mean, yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's almost like Nuka Harrison and Patrick Dumont put a curse on the Mavericks
right?
with that trade. Like, it feels like everything that could have gone wrong ever since that Luka Doncic trade has gone wrong. Like, I mean, we've lost, I think it's like 8 players now that the Mavericks have lost. But just talking about Kyrie Irving, I mean, this season, he's had 24.7 points per game in all those minutes. I mean, he's been such a workhorse for this team. He was a main part of the reason why they made the NBA Finals. And he really stepped up after that Luka Doncic trade as well. He had 28 points per game, about 28 points per game in February. So, I mean, like, he's been like the main leader of this team ever since that trade happened, and of course one of the main leaders last season as well. And ever since he's been on the Mavericks, he's not a replaceable player. It's going to be really tough.
Absolutely, and for through all that, 39 minutes is basically what he was averaging since Luka was traded. So now Kyrie Irving's going into the offseason with a contract option, has a kind of thing there, and then long term though, I'll ask you, Oscar, do you think that the Mavs feel confident about Kyrie Irving rebounding from this injury, and do you think they'll be willing to give him that kind of big contract?
From a Mavs standpoint, I think the ball is in Kyrie's court. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has all the leverage in the world. We don't have a dominant ball handler that's going to be able to score 25 plus a night. So when he goes down, we're just banking on him to fully recover and to just sign with us, because if I'm Kyrie Irving, what have the Mavs really shown me to stay here long term? I mean, Luka had bought a multi-million-dollar house and they shipped him to the Lakers. What's gonna happen with Kyrie if his knee just doesn't heal all the way? They're gonna ship him to Milwaukee, right? So.
Right, and that's just, I mean, it feels like all this loyalty has always been the story of the Mavericks, and just like that, loyalty never fades, but it feels like since this new ownership has come in, it has faded. And it's just like, I don't even know where we're at now, but aside from all of that, Anthony Davis is a member of the Dallas Mavericks for the foreseeable future. Obviously, he went down in his very first game. He continues to be hurt. And here's the Mavs hospital. Just want to highlight it real quick. Kyrie, Lively, AD, Gafford. I mean, the list goes on, even PJ Washington. And that is just the reality of this organization right now. Well, Luka's living it up in LA, and Nico Harrison remains on the Mavs' most wanted list. But for Anthony Davis, unfortunately, he's stuck in the hospital bed for now. But I'll ask you guys, Nick, do you think that once he does come back, because, yeah, he will, maybe they talked about shutting him down for this season because kind of what's the point anymore, but going forward, do you trust Anthony Davis to stay healthy?
I'm afraid to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to give you the amount of games he's played over the last 5 seasons. It's been 36, 40, 56, 76. He did have a bounce back last season, but then this season, 43, maybe a little more than 43 if he can come back. But, I mean, this is a guy who's had injury problems like ever since COVID became a thing. Like, it's been a while now that he's had a hard time staying on the court. He's a fantastic basketball player when he's on the court. We all know that, like 12 rebounds per game, 25 points per game. He can do some great things when he is on the court. but he's scoring 0 when he's off the court, obviously. And
Yes.
if he's only in for half of the season, that's not good enough. And I don't imagine it's going to get much better based on what we've seen over the last few seasons.
Yeah, he's been more known for his outfits than his play.
Absolutely,
Street
yeah.
clothes.
Yeah, he's had a chance to show off his drip every game, but unfortunately, it's not on the court. And that's exactly the problem. I mean, we saw him in the first game with the Mavericks. He was awesome. I mean, I think for a moment there, Mavs fans were like, okay, maybe I can buy into this. And then he goes down. And it just felt like people have said, you got the full AD experience in one game. And unfortunately, it just feels so true. It's like, yes, when he's healthy, great player. Is he Luka? No, I still don't think so. But I just don't know. And I'll ask you, Oscar, do you think he can stay healthy? And if so, what is this Mavs team looking like going forward?
I mean, Nick pointed out his games played. I don't think he's going to be able to stay healthy, Steven. I mean, just to be real, he looked good for a season and a half, and then it's back to street clothes. He's not helping us out. We looked really dominant for those 30 minutes, and I was texting one of my friends that, whoa, we look like a complete team. We have shooters, we have 3-and-D wings, we have bigs, and then he goes down, Kyrie goes down. The Mavs just don't look like they're going to be really competent to compete this year. I think the best solution might be to tank.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I wanted to go next. This Mavs team, so injured. We saw it in the graphic, but it just feels like, I mean, you look at the starting lineup, 4 of your 5 are obviously out. Klay Thompson is kind of the last man standing, but I mean, when we're seeing Kai Jones as in the lineup, and now he's even hurt. We can't even have, both Kais are down. So it just feels like no matter what the Mavs do, it goes wrong. So I'll ask you, Nick, is it time to tank?
I mean, it probably is. Like, I don't know if you should just tank and try to lose. I think you should try to win all your basketball games. It's just kind of like a thing you owe to your fans to try and win your games. But I mean, I don't think this team is going to be doing anything this year. Even if they manage to sneak into that play-in, and even if they manage to get through the play-in, they're going to get swept in the first round without Kyrie Irving. Even if Anthony Davis can come back and be an effective player, I don't think that this team has enough to be able to compete in the playoffs. Even if they do manage to get into them, which I doubt as well.
And Nick, you made a great point. They owe it to the fans, right?
Yeah, they do.
Guys, managers don't care at all whatsoever, right? I mean, 8% on the tickets rise, they just don't
That's
care.
That's unacceptable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They ship off our best player and they raise the tickets. The Mavs manager just does not care. They're out of touch.
Yeah, you absolutely beat me to it. 8% raise on the season ticket prices. And it's like, amidst all this, fans protesting, saying, canceling their season tickets, and now you raise it? I mean, Nick, what kind of message does that send to fans that are already devastated after losing Luka?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they did enough already, and then on top of it, they're like, hey, guess what? You're going to have to pay even more to watch when so many people
watch who?
to watch nothing. When so many people got season tickets just for Luka, maybe not
Yes.
just for Luka, but that's
But
the
yeah,
primary
I mean,
reason.
exactly.
And then he's gone, and now if you want to have season tickets, you're going to have to pay even more. It really, it doesn't make any sense to me, and it's a big slap into the face to all of these great Dallas Mavericks fans. It's not good.
Yes, and I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse, but Oscar, I'll let you finish this off. Here we are now, about a month removed from the Luka trade. The Lakers are surging, second in the West. The Mavs are, looking to hopefully make the play-in, if that's even worth it at this point. A month later, it just feels like it's gotten worse. What is your message to Nico Harrison around this trade?
Where's my single? Is it my single's going to be?
Give him the shot.
Right here. Nico Harrison. I'm in the 4th stage of grief right now, and it's not getting any better. I think you really laid a curse on us, and I've said it in dry runs. I don't think I was able to really get the message across when we're live, but I really hope you like sweeping in the back of Arby's for the next 5 years, because that's where you're going to be, trying to maybe sell shoes at Journeys again or something, but it's not going to work out. This team is not going to work out.
And that's just feels like the unfortunate reality right now. Everyone's hurt. I don't know where this Mavs team goes from here, but for now, we're going to go to UNT basketball coming up next.
Craving something fresh, flavorful, and made just for you? Look no further than Avesta, your go-to destination for a delicious, full-service dining experience. Dive into our customizable omelets, expertly crafted by our talented cook Jonathan, who guarantees every bite is perfection. All our dishes are handmade, prepared with only the freshest ingredients. Explore our assembly line where you can choose from any of our globally inspired dishes, or customize your plate. It's that easy. And let's not forget dessert. Indulge your sweet tooth with treats from Clark Bakery. With convenient payment methods including card or flex, it's the perfect dining spot for any occasion. Quench your thirst with our wide selection of drinks. Just hand your drinking card to our friendly waiter, and they'll bring your beverage of choice right to your table. When you're done savoring every last bite, our attentive staff will whisk away your tray. Enjoy the peaceful ambiance as you dine in, or use our takeout option for a meal on the go. Avesta.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm joined by Jack Shrupsha and Ian Sparkman, and we just got finished talking about Dallas, but now we're going to bring it to UNT and talk about UNT women's basketball. The women's team has been absolutely incredible this year. They just notched their 23rd win of the season, a program record for this team. It's been really just about everything you want to see. I mean, there's been, throughout the course of a season, challenges like always, but they've just come through every single time, and it's been really impressive. I'll start with you, Ian. What have you been thinking about this season as a whole for UNT women's basketball?
It's been a great season. They've had a little bit of ups and downs. They lost a couple games back to back in the middle of the season. But overall, it's been a great performance. They have the best player in the American Athletic Conference, in my opinion, Tamisha Lampkin, and they've just been playing a really good team basketball down the stretch. I think they're ready for March.
Yeah, and I absolutely think they're ready for March. They just came off a 68-56 win in their finale against Rice, and it just shows that they're ready. They're ready to compete, and now with this tournament coming up, they will be the number 2 seed, so they'll get a couple buys. And I think for UNT basketball, for the women's side, it's redemption time, because last year they went out very early in the tournament. You know, it wasn't what they were expecting, because they had a good season last year as well, but it just felt like there was a lot of celebrating. They won the regular season championship. There was a party on the court. I mean, the confetti dropped. They cut down nets. And it just felt like we were on cloud 9. And then the tournament hit, and everything sort of fell apart. Jack, this time, how do you look for this team to respond and stay focused going into tournament season?
I mean, it's really exciting for UNT fans, for men's and women's basketball this year. I mean, for them as a team, shooting 42% from the field throughout the whole season is really impressive stuff. And you had mentioned Tamisha Lampkin. She's been incredible for them. She's going to have to continue to be incredible for them if they want to make a push. But they only have to win 2 games to get to the final Wednesday, March 12th. And I think they really have a good shot to do it. So looking forward to watching them.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We'll talk a little bit more on the tournament later. But first, I want to touch on that Rice game. I mean, it feels like that's exactly how you want to end the season. Rice, obviously not the best team, but anytime you get a win like that going into tournament time, I think that's big. Ian, what did you see from that game, and what players stuck out to you?
I mean, Rice just looked outmatched, honestly. UNT started the game on a 14-0 run, and they just never looked back. Tamisha Lampkin was great, as obviously she always is. We've been talking about her a lot this year. She had 16 points, 11 rebounds, nice little double-double, a couple blocks. And then we also, Desiree Wooten had 14, Kyla Deck had 13, and that kind of just goes to show, I mean, all 3 of those girls had more points than Rice's leading scorer, who had 12. So it was really just kind of a dominant performance by UNT. Great way to end the year.
Yeah, it absolutely was, and that's everything you want to see, like you said, to end the year. Your best players played their best, and that's exactly what you're going to need to keep up going into tournament time. Jack, what did you see from that game, and how do you think these players are going to be able to take this into the tournament?
What stuck out to me was the fact that they really just dominated in the paint. 42 points in the paint compared to Rice's only 26. I think they really had their way, like Ian mentioned, really just controlled the game from start to finish. Only 2 lead changes, so if they could really just have their way in the paint, get themselves open, easy shots the way that they did against Rice and really have all year long, I think they're going to really, it's going to be hard for them not to be successful coming forward. So.
Yeah, and there's been so many positives. I mean, just looking at the season as a whole, it just feels like this team has really come together when they needed to. And yes, I think you're a tiny bit top-heavy with some of your top players. It's like you expect that. Tamisha Lampkin, she's going to do what she does. But I did want to ask, I think she's kind of our MVP. I feel like that's pretty wide stream. But I want to ask you guys, going into the tournament, I'll start with you, Jack. Who do you look to step up for this team besides her?
Besides her, some of those other 2 players that you mentioned that got some of those points for them against Rice, they are a little top-heavy, like you had mentioned. But for me, I'm just going to look at their whole bench, because obviously, Tamisha Lampkin is going to, all eyes are on her all the time. Obviously, those teams are going to focus her. So who are going to be those players to come off the bench, kind of take that load off her shoulders and contribute for them? Because everyone's going to have to contribute when you're in a tournament playing for it all. So that's what I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah, and I
I
think that's really important because it's like, this is a team that I think that's kind of been the one sort of downfall. The bench just hasn't been as productive as you'd like them to be. And, you know, just you're looking, it's like you never know what's going to happen. Someone might have an off game. There might be, you know, God forbid, an injury. Like, it's just, you never know, and you need everyone to be there. So, Ian, is there anyone you look to step up as we go into tournament time?
Yeah, I mean, really just going after your point, I mean, it's going to be that sixth man or maybe sixth woman, perhaps, Kyla Deck.
Yes.
She's been phenomenal again. She had 13 against Rice. She's one of the better shooters on this team. She had an insane game. I don't know if y'all saw that against UAB last time out. She had 27 in that game, leading scorer, which anytime you're leading scorer ahead of Tamisha Lampkin, you're definitely doing something right. You're having a great game for yourself. So I think that she's going to play a big role in this tournament moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like you said, it's names like that that will really make the difference on this team. And I think one more little downside I wanted to touch on is free throw shooting. It's just been a little bit inconsistent. I was at the game the other day, and it just felt like you're right there, but just those little ones, you're missing. And it's like, does that matter against Rice? Probably not. Does that matter deep in tournament time? Yes, it does. Absolutely. And when you're looking at, I mean, free throw shooting where you're leaving 4, 5, 6 points on the board, that can make a big difference in games. So, Ian, do you think that that's more of a mental thing that they can fix, or do you think that this could be a problem for them going forward?
Yeah, the thing with free throws is, you know, they can come and go at sometimes throughout the season. You kind of just got to keep trucking along and not let the mental aspect of it get to you. So, you know, it's been a long season. You know, they've kind of gone up and down. They've had their struggles, but I think they'll be fine come tournament time. It's just going to be about continuing to get those reps and continuing to practice shooting free throws. And I mean, I think head coach Jason Burton, that's his name.
Yes.
Blanked for a minute. But Jason Burton, he's going to get them right for the tournament.
Say his name. Jason Burton is absolutely incredible. I mean, I can't even believe it's his second season. It just feels like in just the couple years he's been here, he's transformed this program. He's instilled a winning culture, and we've seen it throughout the last couple seasons. But I want to get back to the tournament because that's what's coming. Jack, what's it going to take for Coach Burton and this team to go in with that mindset, with that winning mindset, to not just make it here, but to go all the way?
Yeah, obviously the free throws are a bit of a concern. I think they were at like 68% or maybe even a little lower on the season. But, you know, that's a mental thing. I feel like that is something that could be fixed. But kind of like how I touched earlier, I think if they could get bulk of their points in the paint, getting themselves open, easy shots, you know, feeding down low, Tamisha Lampkin's going to have to be huge. But really, I think they got a great chance in this tournament. I look at their biggest threat being another one of those 3 teams seated in the top 4, and I wouldn't even say that they probably wouldn't even be facing one of those teams until the final. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Coach Burton and those girls are going to do. So.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. And I think, like we've said, the one team is probably going to be UTSA. They have the 1 seed. We fell to them earlier in the season. It was a close game, but it reminds me a little bit of the men's with Memphis. It's like that one team. Can you do what it takes to get over the hump and to win, of course, when it matters most? Ian, can this team beat UTSA in the tournament?
I think they can. Like you said, it was a really close game. It was just 2 points. I believe the final score was 54-52. And we only put them once this year, similar to how the men's, they only played Memphis once this year. So we haven't had our chance to get them back yet. I think we're going to get them back in the tournament. I'm pretty confident about that.
Yeah, I hope so. Jack, UTSA are kind of one of our most bitter rivals. They had us earlier. Do you think they get them back?
I think they can. I mean, you can't really judge too much off of one loss of a 2-point game. They're right there. You know, maybe it was free throws that cost them that game. I mean, that's something that could very well be fixed. I think they got it this time.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect way to put it. I mean, when you lose by 2 points, yeah, free throws, they matter. And we're kind of back to that point, but I'll ask you, Ian, I want to hear from you. Going into this tournament, what is the number one most important thing for this team to do in order to get some wins?
I really like what Jack was saying about scoring in the paint.
Yes.
I think the thing that's going to complement that the most is if we can get some production on the perimeter. If we can start shooting some threes, Lampkin's going to draw a lot of attention inside. And so if we can shoot well from behind the arc to complement that, that's going to do really well for us. So I wanted to point some attention to Jacqueline Moore. She's probably she is the best shooter on the team by 3-point percentage. And then Kyla's right up there with her. I believe she shoots 33% and Moore shoots 34%. So if they can both shoot really well throughout the tournament, that's going to be huge for us because if the defense has to split their attention both inside and outside of the perimeter, I mean, it's going to be impossible to stop this team offensively.
Very well said, and that's a thing with this team is we've seen their dominance. We've seen Lampkin inside. She's now the all-time leading rebounds record holder for this team. They can do it inside. It's the three-pointers, that consistency. Jack, do you think they can put it all together in this tournament?
Yeah, I think they can because, I mean, just looking at the tape, obviously, you know, UNT, they're going to try to get into the paint. So, obviously, you know, they get collapsed on, kick it out. 33%, 34% isn't a bad number for shooting threes at all. So, if they can get some of those to fall and become dangerous all over the court, perimeter and inside, they're going to be really dangerous.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I cannot wait for tournament time. It's coming up real soon. It's going to start in the Super Pit, but UNT gets to skip right over that and go to Dickey's, so it's going to be exciting. Now, we're going to switch over to the men's and talk about UNT men's basketball heading into that.
Has this ever happened to you?
My bike! My bike is gone!
Stolen bikes are an epidemic sweeping college campuses across America.
What am I supposed to do?
It's quite simple. The We Mean Green Fund has partnered with the UNT Police Department to offer free bike locks to any UNT student with a bike. Just show up with your bike in tow and ask.
Now I'll never lose my bike ever again.
Enough worrying. Get your bike lock today.
Haunting in the depths of NTTV studios. Something special is brewing just for you.
Hey ghouls and goblins, NTTV News is having a special Halloween segment this October 31st. We're also covering 31 days of Halloween in Denton. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be spooktacular.
I use Flex to buy my favorite snacks.
I use Flex to get me through my mornings.
I use Flex at my favorite campus restaurants. I love how Flex is a cashless payment method and can be used at all campus dining venues.
So, how do you use Flex?
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero. I am joined by London Stewart and Sean Hunley, and we just got finished talking about UNT women's basketball. They've had a great season, and so has the men's. It's been a pretty good year for UNT. Really, I mean, both of them are sitting at the number 2 seed right now, best combined record of all the teams in the American Conference. It's been really exciting to see what both of these teams have done. But now, over to the men's side. London, what have you thought overall from this season?
We really see the uprise of UNT men's basketball. You know, over the years, UNT has pretty much struggled, but with them securing a second place spot, and also in the games that they did lose, for instance, against Memphis, were on one possession. So we're really seeing an uprise of the UNT men's basketball program.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point because this team, believe it or not, only has 2 returning players from last season, and that's just with any team. I mean, when you have that kind of transfer portal movement, I think it's credit to Ross Hodge, credit to really the whole team for making this work. Because, I mean, it's hard to put together a team just in a matter of a few months and then have them lock in and have that chemistry so immediately. It's been exciting. Sean, what have you seen from this team?
Yeah, I mean, huge. I mean, you know, obviously the best defense in the American Athletic Conference. I mean, just I love seeing different players rise at different times. You know, it's like it's not just one player that's leading this team. It's like you've got multiple guys. Obviously, you know, you've got one main guy in Atten Wright who's leading the team as far as points per game goes. But you're also seeing, I mean, just like guys like Musa Soko, Malcolm Floyd, and Brennan Laurent. They're all just stepping up at different times. Of course, there's other players. But, I mean, I just love the team chemistry. I think they're just able – they've built such a great squad. You know, they're deep. They've got a lot of depth. And they've got great defense. I mean, you know, defense wins championships. Now, that might be for football, but the same thing in basketball, man. Everybody knows what to do. They're a well-oiled machine, and I think this team's got a great shot to go deep in the tournament this year.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, and we will preview the tournament in just a moment, but I do want to talk about their last game. It was their 6th straight win, a 68-66 thriller here at the Super Pit against Wichita State. I mean, what we saw from the team was incredible. It was so back and forth all game long. They kind of had the fast start, struggled a little bit, but they were able to put it together and in the end get a huge win. Approaching tournament time, that 2-point win, I mean, it just feels like that's not only, you know, just for the sake of you won the game, But it's momentum. You know, to lose those kind of games, it's a gut punch. But they were able to come out on top. London, what did you see from UNT? How'd they get that big win?
Yeah, we really see the character of UNT besides stat-wise, everything, because we see in this game, UNT shot 41% from the three, and Wichita State shot 29, and UNT only won by 2 points. So we really see the character, especially going into the later half of the game where they picked back up that energy, where they kind of sloped off a little bit. Later on, guys like Adden Wright, he had a great performance. I know a lot of people may say he's player of the game, but let's not disregard Brendan Laurent. He came off the bench with 15 points. And also, Latrell Giselle, he's been a guy, like you just said, a guy who shows up every now and then because they have multiple guys, not just one star-studded guy like a lot of teams have. So we really see just the character of this UNT team at the later end of the Wichita State game.
Yeah, it was impressive. 13 points for Giselle, 21 for Atten, and Brendan Laurent. It just feels like he's kind of been one of our main guys that we've talked about in every single game. It just feels like whether he's off the bench or he's starting, he's making an impact, and that's exactly what UNT has needed and will continue to need going into tournament time is impact. Sean, what did you see from that game, and who made the biggest impact for you?
I mean, yeah, obviously my star player of the game is going to have to be Atten Wright. I mean, you know, he led the team in points for that game. But, I mean, the defense was great. I loved how UNT, you know, they, like you said, they kind of got down in the second half. You know, they were up by 12. But then, you know, you just kind of nurse the defense, what they're so good at. You know, they rely on what they know. And just the fact that Brendan Laurent hit those two crucial free throws at the end of the game to kind of help secure the win. That was huge. You know, the one thing I did also notice was, you know, they were trying to feed Musa Sissoko down low, and it just wasn't working. So, you know, to be able to hit I think Atten hit 4 of 7 from the three-point line, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, just they know what to do if something's not working. You rebound, you figure out what to fix, and then you go and fix it. So I love how UNT gelled together in that game, especially against a tough Wichita State team that kept it really close for pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Wichita State obviously does have a strong, tall center, so that I think affected Mulai a little bit. We've seen what he can do when at his best. I mean, 27 points, career high earlier in the season. When they put it all together, I mean, yeah, it's going to be exciting. But like you said, they find a way to win, whether it's through defense, whether it's Atten Wright stepping up, whether it's someone else, Laurent.
They play the shot clock too.
Yeah, they do.
They make teams play at their pace really well.
Yeah, it stresses me out just a little bit sometimes, but they set the pace. They make it their game, and they play it their way. And I think that's what we've seen throughout the season. London, looking at the season as a whole, what do you think has been the most important aspect of UNT's game?
I would really say their ability to persevere. In many games throughout the whole year, they'll have a little run and then they'll fall off a little bit. But that ability to make other teams, and that composure aspect, making teams play at their pace. A team like Memphis, who is strictly shooting threes and dunking the ball, you making them slow down and play at your pace. Wichita State, who's a team that's considered a dark horse, but they'll come out running pretty fast as well. But so I would really say the composure aspect of UNT throughout this whole year has been very consistent. And having those guys step up that aren't usually showing up on the stat sheet, like Latrell Giselle, he hit a big shot against UAB in their home game here at the Super Pit. But Atten Wright coming through, hitting threes. Mulai Sissoko, 27 points. So I really say, he's a great facilitator as well. Playing defense, he's a solid guy. I would say he's probably the most mature guy on this team. He's really the glue that keeps this team together. So I would really say the composure aspect and the ability to step up from multiple players.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think finally throughout the season, we've talked about these ups and downs, and it's definitely been a reality for this team. But now they've won 6 straight, and they're going to look for 7 tonight against Charlotte in their home finale here at the Super Pit. So be sure to watch that at 8 p.m. today. But for UNT, going in against Charlotte, we talked about the women's team earlier finishing strong. Sean, what's it going to take for UNT men's to finish this strong?
I mean, you know, I said it kind of last week. I really want to see how UNT does with Musa Sissoko. I want to see if they can't feed him the ball. And really, I expect a masterclass in the paint. I also expect to see, you know, them to shut down their main player, you know, rely on that defense, but also, you know, play your game. You know, play that tempo. If the shot clock, if you can milk the shot clock, milk the shot clock. If teams are getting flustered because they can't figure out when you're going to shoot the ball, continue to do what you know how to do, especially against a team that's 10-19 on the year. They've struggled in conference play. They're just not very good. You know, their main player, he had, I believe it was like 31 to 32 points in their loss versus East Carolina. You know, but at the end of the day, they've only got one guy that can really shoot it deep from 3. So, you know, you shut down those 2 guys and play your game, you're going to win this game pretty easily.
really big on they can't get complacent in this game as well.
That too.
Though Charlotte is the lowest ranked team, and let's not, Nick Graves, their best player by far, 32 points, like you just said,
it's huge.
really containing him because he's a streaky guy who can get off like against that in that game. So really not getting complacent as well. That's where that character aspect in the culture that Ross Hodge has implemented into this UNT culture is going to have to come into fruition.
Yeah, certainly that's going to be a big part of it because here, like we said, this isn't the best team. Just like the women's with Rice, it's like this wasn't a team that you're supposed to lose to by any means. But I think whether you win by 15 or you win by 3, a win's a win, yes. But I think for this game, especially your home finale, senior night for a lot of these guys, it makes a difference. And I think especially talking about momentum going into the tournament, I think a win tonight matters. And I think a win tonight matters not only just getting the win, but making a statement. Sean, do you look for them to make a statement tonight?
Absolutely. I mean, this team, like you said, I've said it all show long. They've got the best defense in the conference. They're giving up an average 59.1 points, but they're holding opponents to 41% shooting. I don't really see how UNT could screw this up. I think the only thing is if you play in good transition, if you don't let teams try to steal the ball away from you when you're trying to get something going, or just make a bad pass down low because you can't get it to the guy you want it, you get it to. So it's like you said, you can't get complacent. You play your game, you play a crisp, clean game, good passing, good shooting. I think UNT can secure this win and get that number 2 spot.
Yeah, that's really big. Those little small details like taking care of the ball and offensive rebounds. If a team is beating you in offensive rebounds, most likely that team's going to win, no matter who you're playing against. If you're playing against the Golden State Warriors or this YMCA team, if a team is beating you in offensive rebounds, turnovers, and points in the paint, they're going to win. So boxing out, getting the ball up in transition, taking care of the ball. So that's a big thing as well. That's where you see a lot of teams get complacent at in certain areas and they lack off. And, okay, they're the last ranked team in the conference. Okay, let's not box out on here. And the guy come to run behind you, easy layup. So that's a big thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of running, Rondell Walker, he's got to continue. He's out there. He's doing cardio. He is putting out effort. What's it going to take, Sean, for this team to put a full effort on display? Now, 2 games left, yes, but the tournament, it's right there. We've talked about Memphis. We know they're number 1. What's it going to take for UNT to knock off the best?
What's it going to take? I mean, they almost beat them in the first matchup,
yes,
so
right
know
there.
that this has been sitting there in their minds just waiting. If you secure the number 2 spot, I think you get the first 2 games off in the tournament. So that's the only game that's going to be on their mind. And I think if UNT continues to just really just focus on who they are, don't go out of your way to be somebody you aren't. Everybody knows exactly what their role is in this team, and that's what makes this team so good. They know exactly where to be when the time is right. When to shoot it, when to pass it, when to get it under the cup, and when to draw the foul. So play your game. Don't worry, and just keep going.
Yep, I think that's exactly how to do it, and we're going to leave it at that. Play your game for both UNT teams coming up. Tournaments are going to be here sooner than you think. So from Dickies Arena, it's going to be really exciting to see what both UNT basketball squads can get done. Now we're going to move on, though, to UFC 313.
Hey Alex, this guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounce checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me?
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break.
No.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and is hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm joined by Matthew McDowell and Josh Ortega. We're going to talk some UFC 313. The UFC returns to Las Vegas tonight, or not tonight, Saturday night, excuse me. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm excited, right? But it's going to be, we have a great card, and we're going to break it all down, starting with the main event, Alec Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev for the title bout. Matthew, get us started. What are you looking to see from this match?
I mean, this match, it's Alex Pereira. I think he's probably the most exciting fighter right now in the UFC. I mean, every fight of his except Jan Blachowicz and Bruno Silva, which weren't title fights, has been resulted in a knockout or TKO. He's so exciting to watch. One thing I'll be looking out for this fight that we've seen in Magomed Ankalaev's fight against Jan Blachowicz is the leg kicks. Early on in that fight, round 1, round 2, Magomed Ankalaev was struggling. He had to resort to the takedown. And speaking with the takedown, it's going to be important for Alex Pereira to keep his distance with those leg kicks, with his deadly left hand. I mean, Ankalaev is mainly a striker, but, I mean, he's a Russian. Russians are known for wrestling, you know what I mean? So for Ankalaev, he's going to have to close the space, get Pereira's back against the fence, excuse me. But for Pereira, keep the distance, use your leg kicks to your advantage. I mean, you're a double champ in Glory Kickboxing, you're a double champ in the UFC. I mean, you got there somehow, some way. So keep your distance. Use your kicks. Keep it unorthodox. I mean, here we see the graphic between the two. We see Alex Pereira beats Ankalaev in the reach factor, 4 inches. He's a little bit taller than him. Obviously, they're both light heavyweights. But, I mean, Ankalaev is very, very good. He hasn't lost since 2018, pretty much over almost 6 years ago, or 7, I guess, at this point. His last loss was against Paul Craig in March 18th of 2018, I believe, in his UFC debut. So it's going to be a super exciting fight, and keep your eyes peeled because anything could happen at any moment.
Yes, and these are two dynamic fighters. Like you said, it's more than just, their physicality in the punches. They can do it all, whether it's wrestling, whether it's kickboxing. I mean, that's just a part of their game. So, Josh, throughout this match, what are you looking to see from these two fighters?
I think for one thing, for sure, though, is going to be absolutely Pereira having a super busy 2024. A lot of fights, defended his title 3 times. And overall, I think Ankalaev with the wrestling part is going to be a big factor in this time. Look, Pereira's 37 at the end of the day. Wrestling's going to wear you out. I'm going to go Ankalaev on this one.
Okay, so we got a prediction early on. Matthew, how are you feeling about that?
Well, speaking of Ankalaev, he is a Muslim, and it is the month of March. That could play a factor into this fight. It is Ramadan right now. There's been some back and forth with Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev about Ramadan. Alex Pereira said at the UFC PI he saw some lunch kits with Magomed Ankalaev's name on them. Could he be eating while sun is up or not? I don't know. I'm not going to comment on it, but Pereira and Ankalaev already back and forth about Ramadan. So Pereira says he could be using it as an excuse or not. Is he truly staying true to the eating rules? I'm not going to comment on it too much, but that could be a factor in the fight. I personally have Pereira, round 3 TKO.
Okay, there we go. And it's been a factor because they've talked about this. Ankalaev has said he accepts the challenge. But Josh, do you think that's going to play a role in this fight?
I mean, when it comes to decision and TKO, I think it really depends. I think, look, Pereira at the end of the day will be the guy who gets one shot. And if he gets a really good shot, I think it's his. But either way, I feel like the long-term effects of this with Ankalaev, again, with the wrestling, and then also the more decision, right? I think he has a higher decision-based percentage compared to Pereira.
Yes, 100%.
Overall, yeah. Going forward, I think that plays a factor in that as well.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I got to go with Ankalaev. I'm going to trust my gut on this one. I really think that this is going to be a deep match. I don't see a knockout or anything like that, but I think that he comes out on top. We'll have to see. Over to the co-main, Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev. And this is going to be another one that, it's a pretty strong co-main, I must say. Like, obviously we have the main event, but this is going to be a good match. Matthew, what are you looking to see from these two?
I mean, it was a little unfortunate. Here we see the graphic. It was originally supposed to be Gaethje and Dan Hooker.
Yes.
But these guys have fought in the past, and it was a majority decision for Justin Gaethje. People can look at that fight and be like, oh, Gaethje won that fight. Majority decision wasn't a split decision. But Gaethje only outstruck Rafael Fiziev by 7 strikes in that fight. He had 1 takedown that lasted 5 seconds of control time. I mean, this is a very, very close matchup in my opinion. Fiziev is off a 2-fight losing streak right now. I mean, but his last fight was a blown-out knee to Matsu Gamrot, which, I mean, isn't really a loss. He's had a layoff of over a year and a half. Gaethje's last fight was a knockout loss to Holloway. So both these guys aren't on the right path right now. Me personally, with his Muay Thai background, I have Rafael Fiziev outlasting Gaethje, catching him with a knee or an elbow that really impacts a fight. I mean, Gaethje might be the most dangerous guy that weighs under 170 pounds in the UFC as he's a lightweight, but I would personally go with Fiziev.
Wow.
Round 3 TKO.
Okay, a little bit of an upset there. Josh, how are you feeling about that?
I'm again going the opposite side of the spectrum here. I'm going Gaethje, and the reason I'm going Gaethje is because when they fought the first time, right, Fiziev at the end of the day, right, he ended up losing. But what adjustments can he make from that fight, right? You're looking at it. Is he going to get better at his takedowns? Is it going to be better striking? Is it going to be better defense? Overall, I feel at the end of the day, Gaethje has the edge here because Fiziev hasn't fought since 2023. Ultimately, that going forward, I feel like Gaethje I have a gut feeling, and Gaethje is my guy going forward.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a part of it. And I mean, I hate to disagree with you again, Matthew, but I think I got to go with Gaethje as well. Here, I just think that his experience, you talked about the time off, I just think that Gaethje has the advantage here. I think he's fresh. I think he's not, I don't want to say like overdone. I just think he's just right. I think he knows what he needs to do to come in this and get the win. So it's going to be exciting, but I want to move on. Jalen Turner and Ignacio Bahamondes. This is a pretty good third fight as well. I mean, a lot of good matchups here. This one, what are you thinking, Matthew?
I mean, both these guys are so similar. They're both lightweights with the 155-pound limit, but they're both 6'3". I mean, we look at other lightweights on this card, Gaethje and Fiziev, they're 5'8" and 5'11". Other lightweights, Khabib, Conor, they're 5'9", 5'10". These are tall, lanky dudes for that weight division. Jalen Turner has a little bit more experience and a better resume than Ignacio Bahamondes, in my opinion. I mean, he's fought guys like Renato Moicano. He's fought, other guys in the tier. It's like Dan Hooker, who was supposed to be in the co-main with Justin Gaethje. I mean, he could have won both those fights. So, in my opinion, Turner has the experience edge, but Bahamondes just fights crazy. I mean, his last 2 fights have been knockouts, and he's a really dangerous guy with a really long reach that can knock you out. He's got some knockout power. So, I mean, if it goes to decision, I would have to say Turner, but if it doesn't go to decision, I would have to go Bahamondes. It's going to be a really close fight, though.
Yeah, I can see it, and it's going to be interesting because, like you said, these guys, it's not your typical lightweight. They're 6'3". Yes, they're thin, but they pack a punch. They pack some power. Josh, what are you looking to see from these two?
I'm going to go Bahamondes here. I really think, look, him landing in terms of just how much he lands about 100 punches or not, if more, during his fights. Overall, I think the length is going to be a huge factor in this. And Turner's coming off a streak where he hasn't won 5 of his last 6 fights. That's a big thing as well, so I'm going Bahamondes on this one.
Okay, Matthew, who do you take this one?
Just because he's been against me the whole time. I'm going Jalen Turner by decision.
Wow. Okay, there it is, and that time I'm going to agree with you. I think Jalen Turner gets this one. I think it's going to be a good fight, like we said, but I think Turner does come out on top. Now, to the women's strawweight, Amanda Lemos and Yasmin Lucindo. This is going to be an interesting match, obviously, for the women's side. 2 very fierce fighters, and I'm going to be really excited to see what happens. Josh, I'll let you start us off this time. What are you looking to see from these two?
I mean, it's definitely tough because one is a veteran and one is somewhat, we can call it rookie, but a younger fighter, right, at the end of the day. And that has a huge factor into this, right? We look at the card here. Either way, so many factors in this game, in this fight. Going forward, though, I really think Lemos still has a lot of power and a lot of ability to overwhelm opponents. And I really think for Lucindo, that's going to be kind of hard to kind of overcome in this fight. Obviously, the last fight was a little bit harder in terms of just decision, and really you can sway both ways in her last fight. I'm going to go Lemos here. I'm going to go with the vet.
Okay, going with the vet. Matthew, how are you feeling?
I mean, he's talked about the experience difference. Lemos is 37, Lucindo is 23. But one thing you never do is bet against a girl with a neck tattoo.
That is true.
That's all I got to say. I see a girl with a neck tattoo. If I bet against her, she might come find me and beat me up. So, I mean, I'll go against Josh again. I mean, who do you like more, me or Josh? If you're in Vegas,
Someone put the poll.
Whose ticket are you putting on? But I'm not betting against a girl with a neck tattoo. Give me Yasmin Lucindo.
All right, we're in Vegas. The odds, we're going to have to see. I'm going to have to clip both of these, see who ends up right. But I got to go with you. I'm going to go Lucindo too. We're going to have to see. But for now, we're going to move on and talk about the MLB and some of our favorite and least favorite jerseys.
Looking to open a free checking or savings account but don't know where to start? Check out DatQ Credit Union right here on campus. Get your Mean Green debit card instantly or apply for a DatQ Visa credit card today. Your school, your card. Plus, make deposits at their 24/7 ATM, checks or cash whenever you need it. Make sure to sign up for DatQ's online banking platform and mobile app for easy access anytime, anywhere. Visit them at www.datq.org to learn more. DatQ, the official financial institution of UNT Athletics.
Are you looking for a fun club with travel opportunities? Dive into the UNT Swim Club. Practicing Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Pole Recreation Center. We accept members at any skill level. For more information, reach out to us at unt.swimclub on Instagram.
Are you tired of seeing the same old city? You want to learn something and go overseas? Then study abroad with one of many UNT Study Abroad programs. You can find a study abroad office right here at Markey Hall, room 145.
My study abroad program left on me a great impression. We have a lot of different programs and it varies. We have faculty-led, affiliate, and exchange programs. When you're ready to leave for your study abroad program from UNT, you're gonna go through pre-departure orientation and modules so that you are prepared.
The power to turn the world into your classroom is right here at UNT with our study abroad programs. Take flight and take in charge of your education.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero, joined by Timmy Scott and Jess Qualley, and we're going to talk about something kind of fun here. Baseball opening day is getting closer and closer. We're almost done with spring training, so I want to talk about some uniforms. Baseball, we were talking about it earlier, Tim, they have some of the best uniforms anywhere, throughout their history, a long and historic history. Some have stayed the same, some have changed, so we're going to talk about it all. We're going to go best current, best classic, and our worst of all time. So, Timmy, start us off. How you feeling? Baseball uniforms, your best ones.
So my favorite and best current MLB jersey is the Milwaukee Brewers off-white jersey. It's their home. It's one of their home jerseys, and I think it complements really well with the navy blue they have as their main color. I think that look on the dirt and the grass of the field looks amazing. Not to mention the Brewers. That's people who make beer. What color is beer? Similar to that off-white. And you think wheat, you think hops when you make beer, it's the same color. It all matches really, really well for that current jersey.
For sure.
Okay, just looking at it, I was like, but you put something behind it. You convinced me a little bit. Keep us going.
Not an off-white.
My favorite classic, I gotta go with the Rangers red. It's it's nostalgia. I mean, you think the 2010, 2011 Rangers, Josh Hamilton, Adrian Beltre, Michael Young, those guys donning that Reds on Friday night was something special. Not to mention, it is the perfect alternate jersey. When you think the Rangers, they have the red, white, and the blue. That white and blue is their main home jerseys. The red was the perfect complementary alternate. And it's a jersey I'm sad they discontinued, and I'm hoping they bring back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that one, I mean, when we were talking about it, I was like, yes. I mean, it feels weird to call it a classic, but yeah, it counts for me because it's not there anymore. And it pains me a little bit. I was like, it's such a pretty jersey. I mean, I like the City Connects, I do, but the red, it's just classic Rangers. Timmy, what was your worst jersey?
For me, the worst jersey is easily the 1976 Chicago White Sox shorts and collared shirt. Something they only donned 3 times in that season. It was just ugly and gross. It looks like they're playing tennis in that kind of outfit. But a fun tidbit, the White Sox wore those jerseys 3 times that year. Wow. They won all 3 games. And all the players mentioned in their post-game conferences that they loved the feel. The shorts were super comfortable for them. But man, did it not look good.
Yeah, interesting. Jess, would you want them to bring those back?
No, absolutely not. Maybe it was a lucky memento because they won all those games, but personally, I do not like the way it looks at all.
Yeah, I think I got to agree. I think 3 games too many for those jerseys. Yeah. I don't know about that. Jess, take us away. Tell me your best jerseys.
All right, so my favorite current jersey would be the 2025 Seattle Mariners Aqua jersey. The Aqua jersey, just like compared to when you think of baseball, you think blue, royal blue, and you think red. I don't think that. I think that the Aqua is interesting and different, and that's exactly what the Mariners are. You think of the Rangers, you think of the Dodgers, and you think blue and you think red.
Classic,
They're
right?
different. The Mariners are different, and I appreciate them for that.
Okay, yeah, and look, we got a lot of blue up here. Keep us going. What about those classics?
Blue is my favorite color. The classic, the 1970 Rangers blue powder. It is just beautiful to look at. I'm a big fan of that light blue. It looks good on the nails. It looks good on the jerseys. It looks good overall, guys.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of light blue. I'm glad they brought those back. Obviously, an alteration than the ones they have right now, but those are some of my favorite current jerseys. I had a hard time leaving them off of my list, but we'll get to that in a minute. But there's one blue you didn't like, Jess. Tell me about that bad one.
The 1944 2024 Brooklyn Dodgers blue silk. It looks like pajamas. Are you playing baseball or are you having like a daydream? Like what's going on? That is something that you wear to bed or something, a bonnet. Like that's, I don't like it. Why are you shimmering on the field? I bet it hurt the people's eyes. Like it hurts my eyes to look at that. Like, can you even imagine playing in that? Like I feel like you're slipping around and where does the sweat even go? So.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those. I mean, shining like that, I mean, it reminded me if you guys have ever seen the Mavericks, I call them trash bag uniforms. Like they wore them for one game in the early 2000s, those ugly silver metallics. Kind of look like that, but I think even worse. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm sorry. Leave me out of that one. I know it was the 40s, but no, they don't get a pass. So I'm going to start off with mine, though. My best, I wanted to do something different because there's a lot of classics. We talked about the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Rangers. They all have some beautiful uniforms, classics. I wanted to go with something a little bit new, though. Toronto Blue Jays City Connects. Look at those. I don't know. There's Vladdy with them, the black. They got the skyline on there. I don't know. I just think it's a really cool jersey. It's something different. You don't typically see the black uniforms in baseball. The City Connects, they've had mixed feelings for me. I don't know. But those I like. I want to hear your takes, though. What are you guys thinking?
I definitely didn't think of that as a good current jersey.
Okay.
I mean, if it makes you happy, if you like the way it looks, that's completely fine. Each to their own. But personally, I don't think it looks baseball-y enough for me. It looks like something you buy at a merch store.
All right, it's a little different. It's a little different.
I mean, I like what you say. It is a good jersey, but I think it's not even the best black City Connect.
Okay.
I like
Which
the
one?
Reds.
The Reds are nice.
I think
I
the
like
Reds,
those.
that C with the stripes. I think they did that really well. I think it just edges out that Toronto a little bit.
Yeah, I like those a lot. Ellie De La Cruz looks absolutely incredible in those uniforms. So, okay, I get it. I want to be different, but I guess didn't work out. But I don't know. I like them anyway. So, for my classic, though, I want to go with the Rangers uniforms. They wore those in the 70s, but absolutely beautiful uniforms. They brought them back for the anniversary season. Luis Garcia in that picture, like, I don't know, that's peak. I mean, I think they should keep those full time. Really big fan of those. They're, not super crazy, kind of just a classic look for me. I really like them. The classic white, red, white, and blue. I think they're nice. Jess, you like those a little better?
Very American, very Rangers. It's what you think of when you think baseball.
Okay.
So I agree.
So classic. Okay.
Yes.
Opposite of the other one. Timmy, how are you feeling about those?
Specifically the font on that jersey.
Yes, right.
Peak 70s vibes.
Yes.
The font, the lettering, it just, when you think 70s sports, it's that right there.
Yep, I love it. The retro with the shiny helmet, too. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were beautiful.
Fabulous.
But my worst, I'd like you guys to put the graphic back up because I just want to point this out one more time. 1999 red Pirates jersey. I mean, burn it. What am I looking at? You got this giant pirate on the front, and then look at the back. I mean, can you guys read that? I mean,
what does it even
Nunez
say?
To the side, it's vertical. I guess that's number 10, up and down. I mean, who designed that? I mean, they didn't stay around very long, but I mean, a few games too many for me.
Yeah.
Jess, what is that?
The color combos doesn't really work. It's like mustard and ketchup splattered onto a t-shirt.
With pinstripe pants.
Yeah, with pinstripe pants. I'm not a fan. I think that it looks really weird.
Yeah, that looked like when, like in MLB The Show, like when they used to have like create a team, create jerseys, all that. Looked like a 5-year-old just like went crazy on it, in my opinion. Timmy, how do you feel about those Pirates jerseys?
Just ugly, the worst. That whole vibe, the whole movement into the future the MLB did that year. I think the Pirates is the worst of the bunch, but holy, that is ugly to look at.
Looks like a kid's
hurts the eyes.
Yeah, I mean, if that's how you wanted to bring us into the 2000s, I just
do it with a bang.
Right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. I can't get over those. Just the pinstripe pants with and the pirate massive. It covered the whole jersey. And one more thing is the sleeves. I just wanted to ask you guys real quick about that. We saw that little phase of vest jerseys, sort of sleeveless there. I mean, I don't know. It sort of reminded me of basketball with the sleeves. It just doesn't feel right. Timmy, how do you feel about the sleeveless jerseys?
It only works if you do it right. For example, the Rangers used to have a vest with a red undershirt. Classic look, right? Something simple like that. But you look at that graphic there, too much going on. The red, black to yellow combo is not the play at all.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, it just doesn't feel right. Like, it reminds me of the NBA. Like, those weren't as bad to me, the sleeve jerseys, but it's like, when you think basketball, you don't think sleeves. When you think baseball, you don't think sleeveless. Jess, how do you feel about the sleeveless uniforms?
I don't know. It just looks like, when you're in elementary school and then you put on, like, the mesh ones when you're going to play like
Yes.
football or something. That's what it looks like. I think that's what they're trying to be. Not a fan.
Yeah, and that's sort of what it reminded me of. Like, that's like gym class
Yeah.
look. Like, they just
Yeah.
throw those on real quick so we can have a couple teams. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it at all. But we had some good ones. We had some bad ones. And I hope this was a good show. You know, I think we did a pretty good job today. There was a lot of great stuff going on and a great way to finish it. Thanks for joining us, Jess. Thank you guys all for watching. From all of us here at NTTV Sports, stay tuned for NTTV Nightly News coming up. And feel free to follow us, NTTV Sports, on Instagram. For now, we will see you guys next time.